Alright, hello guys. So this is the first portion of our pre-examination ratio in medtech laws and bioethics. So I have organized the different questions. Yes, so pinagsama-sama ko yung mga under sa iisang batas. Okay, or sa iisang topic lang. Alright, so with that, we will be starting off with the different questions which are governed by our RA 5527. Okay? So your RA 5527, this is otherwise referred to as the Philippine Medical Technology Act of 1969. So this was signed into law by sinong presidente natin noong 1969? So we have President Ferdinand E. Marcos. Okay? So RA 5527, so this was signed into law on June 21, 19, parang nasabi ko na to kanina, 1969. So who is the signatory or who approved this law? We have former President Ferdinand E. Marcos. Okay, so Ferdinand E. Marcos. Ayan. So if you are going to browse your RA 5527, you would be able to see that this particular law contains how many sections? We have 32 sections. Okay, yes. So your Philippine Medical Technology Act of 1969, so this is an act that requires the registration of medical technologists and defining the practice and for other purposes. Okay, defining their practice and for other purposes. So if you are going to look at the history of RA 5527, so it was amended how many times? 3 times only. Okay, so we have 3 times. So what were the different laws that amended your RA 5527? So first we have RA 6138. Okay, so I repeat, una, we have your RA 6138. It amended section 16, 21, and 22. So this was promulgated or signed into law on August 31, 1970. And then after your RA 6138, we have Presidential Decree number 498. So this one amended a lot of sections in your RA 5527. Specifically, we have sections 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 11, 13, 16, 17, 21, and 29. Okay, so this was signed into law on June 28, 1974. So the last amendment for your RA 5527 was or is Presidential Decree number 1543. Okay, so this amended sections 3, 8, 11, and 13 of your RA 5527 and section 12 of your Presidential Decree number 498. So this was signed into law on June 11, 1978. So take note that all amendments of RA 5527, sino ang signatory niya? Si Ferdinand E. Marcos. All of them. Okay, yes. Is there a difference between a Republic Act and a presidential decree? Yes, there is a difference. So the difference lies in the form of government that we have in that particular year. So pag sinabi nating Republic Act, it went through the normal process of creating laws in a republic or in a democratic country. Okay, just like in the case of your just like in the case of the Philippines, 'di ba? So ano ba ang unang mangyayari dapat bago ka magkaroon ng batas? So you would have a bill, 'di ba? All Republic Acts start with a bill. Okay? So a bill it can originate from the House of Representatives or it can originate from the Senate. Okay? So a bill, before it will be passed on to the office of the president for signing and approval, it has to be, of course, it has to be debated first by both houses. And it has to be approved first by both houses. So after which, they will submit the bill to the office of the president the office of the president will act on that particular bill. Okay? So pwedeng, ano ang pwedeng gawin ni president? Pwede niyang pirmahan yung bill, then it becomes a Republic Act. Okay? Or pwede niyang i-veto yung bill, babalik siya sa Congress, babalik yung bill sa Congress. Diba? In order to override a veto, you need a 2/3, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? Two-thirds ng votes. Two-thirds votes from both your House of Representatives and your Senate. Okay? Or the president, pwedeng wala siyang gawin. Okay? So, paano ba natin masasabi yon? If, for example, the president did not do something about that particular bill that was submitted to his or her office, ang mangyayari is it will automatically become a law after 30 days. Okay? So, after 30 days, wala po siyang ginawa, magiging automatic siya na batas. Nakuha? Ayan. So that is the proper process in coming up with Republic Acts in a democratic country, or at least here in the Philippines. All right. So in contrast, during martial law, kasi your presidential decrees, paano malalaman na democratic siya as compared to martial law pag ang mga batas ay tinatawag natin na presidential decree. Okay, so all presidential decrees, they were all created during martial law, in which the president assumes legislative powers. Diba? Sino ba ang batas ng martial law? Si president only. Okay, wala po tayong Congress. Okay, wala tayong House of Representatives, wala tayong Senate nung martial law. Yes, the legislative power ay na kay president only. So that's why all laws during martial law, lahat ng batas ay tinatawag natin na presidential decree. Okay, nakuha? Yes, ma'am, does it have a less, kumbaga parang less authoritative ba siya? Less encompassing ba ang presidential decree as compared to Republic Act? No. Parehas sila. Okay? Kumbaga, yung gravity nila as laws of the land, parehas lang po. Okay? Yes, parehas lang. Alright. Ngayon, guys, of course, meron tayong tinatawag na Senate Bill 2722. Tama ba ako? Yes, we have Senate Bill 2722. What is Senate Bill 2? Paulit-ulit. Oo, ito na nga. Oh, ito na. Okay, last na to. Senate Bill 2722 is otherwise referred to as your Medical Technology Act of 2011. Okay, so let us just be very clear about this. Your Senate Bill 2722, it was not passed as a law. Hindi po siya naging Republic Act. Okay? Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if it was even deliberated in Senate. Diba? Ganun ang ginagawa ng mga senador natin, ng mga congressmen natin. Diba? Nagdedebate sila about sa mga batas. Kailangan yon in order for the bill to be passed. Okay, in that particular chamber. So whether we are talking about your lower chamber or your House of Representatives or the upper chamber or the Senate. Okay, so pagdedebatehan yan, yung bill na yan until such time that they are able to come up with provisions na mag-a-agree ang majority. Tama? And then that's the time that the bill is passed on to the office of the president. Okay, yes. So, kung titignan natin, si Senate Bill 2722, hindi po siya pumasa. Hindi ko nga alam kung pinagdebatihan ba yan eh. Okay, yes. Kasi kung pumasa siya, edi sana naipunta siya kay president. Diba? Kaso hindi nga eh. Okay, so that means we cannot, yes, we cannot say that your Senate Bill 2722 has repealed 5527. Hindi po niya ni-repeal kasi hindi nga siya naging batas. Nakuha? So that's why in the history of your 5527, only 3 laws only 3 laws served as amendments to your 5527. Wala pa po tayong batas, okay, na nagre-repeal ng buong 5527. Wala pa. So the different regulations that we have as to the practice of medical technology here in the Philippines, all of them are based on your 5527 still. Oo, kahit sabihin natin na many of the provisions of your 5527 are already obsolete or they are not up to date, then we cannot really do anything about it. Okay? Siguro kulang tayo ng lobbying kaya walang naipapasa na batas which would update, okay, or which would repeal the entire 5527. Yes. Nakuha? O, yan ha. Wala pong batas na nakakapag-repeal sa buong 5527. Not even your Senate Bill 2722. So may I just clarify that? All right, so let us go to the different questions. Okay, number 1. A candidate has the following board examination results. Clinical microscopy, 45. BD, blood banking and serology, 95. Clinical chemistry, 74. Microbiology and parasitology, 50. Histopathology and medtech laws, 81. Hematology, 94. Did he or she pass the medical technology licensure exam? So the correct answer is yes, with a general weighted average of 75.2. So if you are going to look at your RA 5527, the specific section that is concerned about rating, diba, is your section 19. Okay? But before we go to the rating in the board exam, let us look at section 17 of your 5527. So section 17, so this talks about the scope of coverage and examination. Okay, scope of coverage and examination. Okay, section 17. All right, so according to this particular section, there are how many subjects given during the board exam? We have 6 subjects. Okay, yes. And in conjunction with section 17 of your RA 5527, the Professional Regulation Commission, tama ba ako? PRC, Professional Regulation Commission. Okay, PRC released a resolution regarding, okay, regarding the different exams or subjects rather that are given during the board exam. So PRC resolution, if you just want to check lang naman. So that's why I'm giving the specific documents. Oo, I'm not saying naman that you have to read the entire resolution. So para lang makita ninyo na dito nanggagaling yung mga tanong. Okay, so PRC resolution number 15 series of 1996, if you're going to look at Annex A of this particular document, you would be able to see there the different major subjects. Okay, yes. Kahit hindi nyo yan tignan, kasi sinasabi ko naman na yung importante na meron dyan. So major subjects, we have CC, what else? Micro, para, BB, zero, okay, BB zero, and then your hematology. So when we say major subjects, so these subjects comprise 20% each, diba? So the relative average, the relative, anong pangalan nito? Weight, okay? The relative weight of your major subjects, we have 20% each. Okay, so 20% each po yung mga yan. And then, of course, in addition to your major subjects, we also have what we call your minor subjects. So what is the relative weight of your minor subjects, we have 10% each. Tama? We have 10% each. So we only have 2 minor subjects in the board exam. We have clinical microscopy, and then the other one is histopath, together with your medtech laws and bioethics. Okay, so this is, yes, these are the different subjects that you will take when you will be having your board exam also later on. Okay, so aside from section 17 of your RA 5527, it is also important that we look at section, section 19 of your RA 5527. So what does section 19 contain? It contains provisions on the ratings in the examination. So in short, how will your average, or how are they going to determine whether a particular examinee passed the board exam or not? Diba? That's section 19 of your RA 5527. So remember that in order for you to pass, okay, the board exam, you have to be able to meet the following criteria. What are these criteria? Number 1, you should not have a rating that is below 50. Okay? So number 1, asan na? Number 1, no rating. Okay, so no rating below 50 in any of the major subjects. Okay, so this is the first. No rating below 50 in any of the major subjects. What else? You should not fail in at least, okay, in at least 60% of the subjects. Yes, of the subjects computed according to their relative weights. Okay, and then aside from that, you should have a general weighted average of 75. Okay, so you should have a general weighted average of 75%. Okay, so ito, ayan. So these are the 3 criteria that you have to be able to meet in order for you to pass the board exam. Okay, so no rating below 50 in your major subjects. What else? Yeah, no rating below 50. Not fail, you should not fail in at least 60% of the subjects. And your Jiwa, or your general weighted average, should be 75. All right, so let us take a look at the different ratings, okay, of your examinee in the different subjects. So clinical, una, no rating below 50% in any of the major subjects. Okay, so lagyan na lang natin ng star pag na-meet niya yung criteria na yan. Okay, so no rating below 50%. Meron ba siyang 50% in your major subjects? So again, ano yung mga titignan natin na major subjects? BB0, major subject ba yan? Yes. Okay, ang score niya 95. Oh, galing niya, ano? CC, clinical chemistry, ano ang score niya? 74. So hindi naman siya below 50. Microbio and para, 50 ang kanyang score. Ang sabi po sa batas, below 50. So, ang i-consider natin ay 49, di ba? Or 49.9999. Yun dapat ang i-consider natin. Tama? Okay. So, para microbiology and parasitology, ang score niya ay 50, pasok pa din yan. Kasi hindi naman siya below 50 eh. Okay? Next, hematology, 94 ang score niya. Naku, nang galing-galing naman ito sa hema. Okay, 94. So, hindi naman siya below 50. So, ibig sabihin, the examinee was able to meet the first criteria. Yay! Okay, heart. So, dyan. Ayan. So, na-meet niya yung unang criteria. Wala po siyang below 50 sa mga major subject. O baka mamaya nalito kayo ha, ma'am, pero sa clinical microscopy 45 siya. O tapos, okay, hindi naman po major subject ang clinical microscopy, di ba? Tama. So kahit 45 ang score niya dyan, pwede pa rin siyang pumasa. Kasi ang clinical microscopy ay minor subject naman siya, hindi naman siya major subject. Okay? Yes. And then, ayan. So, na-clear na natin yun ha. So, hindi natin i-consider yan kasi hindi naman siya major subject. Alright. And then, sabi dito, ano yung next na criterion natin? Not fail in at least 60% of the subjects. So, guys, yes, i-clear lang natin ha. Ang ibig sabihin ng fail sa board exam, ano ba ang ibig sabihin pag failed ka? Ano ba yung rating mo at tinatawag pang failed sa board exam? So considered na fail po pag less than 75. O baka mamaya nasanay na tayo ha, na sa UB ang passing ay 70. Pero sa board exam, ang passing po ay 75. Okay? So if your grade is below 75, ibig sabihin, bumagsak ka sa subject na yan. Okay, yes, clear tayo dyan ha. So, tingnan natin kung ilan ang bagsak niya. Yes, ilan ang bagsak ni examinee. So, lagyan na lang natin ng X ha, yung mga bagsak niya. Okay, where's my stamp? There's my stamp. Okay. Clinical microscopy, bagsak ba siya? Below 75 ba? Yes, napaka naman, di ba? Ang score niya, 45. Magagalit si Sir Ruben nito. Okay, so 45 ang score niya sa clinical microscopy, guys. Okay, so bagsak niya ang clinical microscopy. BB095. Naku, nag-aral ito. Siguro natakot siya kay Ma'am Marilyn. Ayan. So, 95 ang kanyang score. Clinical Chemistry, 74. Bagsak yan kasi below 75. Okay? Microbiology and Parasitology, 50. Naku, magagalit din si Ma'am Charm nito. Bakit naman 50 ang score mo? Okay? So, below 75 din siya. And then histopath and medtech loss 81. Yes, pasado. Hematology 94, pasadong-pasado. So alin ang bagsak niya? CM, CC at saka micropara. Ngayon, paano natin malalaman kung umabot na ba siya ng 60%? Ano ang relative weight ni clinical chemistry? 10. Tama? Ano ang relative weight ni clinical chemistry? 20. Ano ang relative weight ni histopathology, saan pa siya bumagsak? Micro. Ano ang relative weight ni micro para 20? Okay. So, ibig sabihin, ilang percent ang binagsak niyang subject? 10 plus 20 plus 20, we have 50%. So, the examinee failed in 50% of the subjects according to their relative weights. Oh, pwede pa siyang pumasa kasi 50% lang naman ang binagsak niya eh. 'Di ba? Ang sabi sa batas, 60%. So pag umabot ka ng 60%, 60% ang bagsak mo, hindi ka napasado. Kahit na 99 mo pa yung ibang mga subjects. Okay? So in that case, na-meet ba niya yung criteria natin na pangalawa, not fail in at least 60% of the subjects? Yes. So bigyan natin siya ng maraming heart. Heart, heart, heart. Okay. Ayan. Alright. So last criterion. Jiwa, general weighted average, should be 75%. Okay? So syempre, in this case, you have to compute na for the Jiwa. Guys, kung nakalimutan natin ang calculator natin sa board exam, pero wag naman sana, huwag kayong mawalan ng pag-asa pag ganitong mga problem solving lang ang binigay. Kasi madali lang naman siyang isolve. Pwede po siyang isolve manually. Okay? So sabi ko nga, it's not really what you know which will matter in the board exam. It's how you use what you know. Yes. Ganun siya. Kasi hindi mo na, you cannot do anything about what you know. Tama? O parang yung nag-e-exam ngayon sa akin ng kompre nila. May magagawa po ba sila kung kunwaring binasa nila yung question and then, ay, hindi ko ito na-review. wala na silang magagawa. So, ang gagawin na lang dapat ng mga nagko-compre na yan, ng mga nagko-completion is, isipin nila, shucks, saan ko ba ito pwedeng i-relate? Ganun. Okay? So, ganun dapat ang attitude natin pag nag-e-exam. Hindi yung pagkakita mo pa lang sa tanong, oh my gosh, nanghina ka na. Diba? Wag ganun, besh. Sa board exam, hindi ka pwedeng manghina. Okay? Kasi ano yan? Buong araw yan. Bahala ka dyan. Okay? So yan. So magko-compute na tayo. Clinical microscopy, remember, i-multiply lang natin siya. Diba? The rating multiplied to the relative weights. Okay? And then you just add it. Alright. So, clinical microscopy, so 45 times, imumultiply mo siya sa 10%. So remember that if you are going to convert 10% to decimal, yes. Katatapos mag-lunch, oo. Bakit? Ayan, so 45 times 0.10. Okay, plus. Yes, may plus dyan. Yung BB0 natin ay ano yan, major exam. So, 95 times 0.20. Tama? Okay. Plus, CC. Sorry. Plus, CC, ang CC niya ay 74 times 0.20. Okay? And then, ano yung next na subject? Micropara. 50 siya dyan. So, 50 times 0.20. Okay? And then, ano yung next? Histopath and medtech loss, 81. So, ano ang histopath medtech loss natin? 10% lang yan, ha? So, 81 times 0.10. Okay? And then, lastly, ano yung pinaka-last? Hematology, 94 times 10, times 0.20. Okay? Kasi 20% siya. Times 0.20. So, ano po ang kanyang general weighted average? So, syempre, hindi ko pa yan na-compute. 45 times 0.1 plus 95 times 0.2 plus 74 times 0.2 plus 50 times 0.2 yes, napaka-very good ko talaga. Hindi ko daw siya kinompute. Plus, pero andyan na yung sagot, diba? 94 times 0.2. Okay! So, ang sagot ay 75.2. So, we have 75.20. Okay? So, ang sagot dito ay yes, letter B, with the general weighted average of 75.2. So, pumasa siya because the examinee was able to satisfy all of the criteria. So, if titignan natin ang kanyang jiwa, ano ba dapat ang jiwa natin? 75. So, 75.20. So, meron pa siyang sobra na 0.20. Yay! Very good. So, pumasa po siya sa board exam. Okay? So, that means, class, we are not just going to consider the general weighted average. You also have to consider the other criteria. Okay? As provided by Section 19 of your RA 5527. Alright. Yes, 30 minutes. Pang ilang question ko na to? Pangalawa. Diba? Perfect! Okay. Hindi kasi mahaba naman talagang explanation nito, guys. Okay. Ano? Next! Next po. O, imagine nyo ang haba nito. Okay, next. The Board of Medical Technology may issue a COR2. Ayan. Ayan po. Okay, medyo ano to, kailangan ng analysis. Okay? Parang lahat naman ng question mo, ma'am, kailangan ng analysis. So, hindi naman masyado. Okay, number 1. Examinee A, who passed the board exam but is convicted in court of involuntary manslaughter. Grabe naman yun. Okay, next. Number 2. 21-year-old examinee, a board passer from the University of Baguio who had tuberculosis. Number 3. 60-year-old examinee diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma who passed the board in the Philippines. Number 4, examinee B, a graduate from the US practicing as an exchange professor for 5 years in the Philippines. So, sino ang bibigyan mo ng COR? Okay. So, take note that this is actually governed by what section? We have section 23 of your RA 5527 in which naka-indicate doon refusal to issue a certificate. Tama? Refusal to issue certificate. Okay, so according to section 23, the board shall refuse to issue a COR to any person. Number 1, convicted. Okay, convicted by the court of any criminal offense involving, nakalagay dyan moral turpitude. Ano ang ibig sabihin ng moral turpitude? Class, in law, pag sinabi mong offense involving criminal turpitude, ito yung mga sukdulan ng mga krimen. Yeah, na as in like, hindi talaga katanggap-tanggap ng mga krimen. Okay? Yes. Ano yung mga examples ng offense? Criminal offenses involving moral turpitude. Murder. O, diba? Pag sinabi mong murder, premeditated kasi yan eh. Ibig sabihin, anong pangalan nito? Ibig sabihin, pinagplanuhan talaga. Diba? Pag murder. What else? Rape. Yan. That's a criminal offense involving moral turpitude. What else? Pag binugbog mo yung asawa mo, nako, hindi yan katanggap-tanggap. Talagang criminal offense yan involving moral turpitude. However, not all crimes, di ba? Not all criminal offenses involve moral turpitude. Okay? Like for example, yung nakalagay po dyan sa number 1, involuntary manslaughter. Involuntary manslaughter is different from murder. Although, parehas naman na nakapatay. Di ba? Yes. Pero magkaiba po sila. Ang involuntary manslaughter, this is not a criminal offense involving moral turpitude. Okay? What else? Ano pa ba yung mga criminal offenses that does not involve moral turpitude? Drunk talaga. Driving under the influence, okay, of alcohol. Ayan, DUI. So, kunwari, you were convicted of DUI. Ibig sabihin ba, hindi ka na pwedeng bigyan ng certificate of registration? Hindi. Kasi that does not, diba, that crime does not involve moral turpitude. Nag-jaywalking ka. Ayan, jaywalking. If we are going to consider minor offenses, okay, so those do not involve moral turpitude. Naku ha? Yes. Pag sinabi mong moral turpitude, yan yung mga sukdulan ng mga krimen. Yung hindi talaga katanggap-tanggap. Okay? Yes. So, hindi po kasama ang involuntary manslaughter doon. Alright. Another. 21-year-old examinee C, a board passer from the University of Baguio who had tuberculosis. So remember, yes, remember that in this case, di ba? In this case, one of the reasons of non-issuance of your COR is if, for example, the person has an incurable communicable disease. Tama? Refusal to issue certificate. Okay. Yan. To any person convicted, okay, number 1, convicted by the court of any criminal offense involving moral turpitude. Okay, ano pa? Yung isa, with incurable, ano yon? Communicable disease. Okay. Right, sige. Wait lang lagay ko lang. All right, so with incurable communicable disease. So remember that for number 2, ang nakalagay naman dyan is a board passer from the University of Baguio who had tuberculosis. Nagkaroon siya ng tuberculosis. Remember, ang tuberculosis ba ay incurable? Curable siya, 'di ba? It is treatable. Yeah, it is a communicable disease. It's actually a very communicable disease. However, tuberculosis is curable. Curable po yan. Okay, so ibig sabihin, pwede pa din siyang bigyan. Pwede siyang bigyan. Bibigyan talaga siya provided na this particular examinee or applicant was able to satisfy all of the requirements. Okay, so bibigyan talaga siya. All right, another 60-year-old, number 3, 60-year-old examinee diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma who passed the board in the Philippines. So yung Hodgkin's lymphoma naman, that is not a communicable disease. Okay, hindi po yan communicable disease. Nakuha? So bibigyan pa din siya ng COR. And then number 4, okay, examinee B, a graduate from the US, practicing as an exchange professor for 5 years in the Philippines. Bibigyan mo ba siya ng COR? Hindi. Okay? Hindi mo siya pwedeng bigyan ng COR. Kasi isa nga yan sa exception. Diba? If you are going to look at your RA 5527, there are certain professions which are exempted from being issued a COR before they can practice here in the Philippines. However, since examinee B is a graduate from the US and he is just an exchange professor here in the Philippines, dapat exchange professor lang siya. Okay, hindi pwedeng mag-practice siya ng medical technology. Like for example, hindi siya pwedeng mag-work in diagnostic laboratories, hindi siya pwedeng mag-perform doon ng mga tests and then mag-release ng results. So kung ano yung role niya, okay, yes, yung role niya na in-applyan niya dito sa Philippines, and then in that case, that would be as an exchange professor, dapat hanggang exchange professor lang siya. Okay, hindi po siya bibigyan ng COR. Nakuha, provided na yun lang ang ipapractice niya here in the Philippines. Okay, so in short, alin ang tamang sagot dito? Alin ang tamang sagot? Examinee A, bibigyan pa siya ng COR kahit na convicted siya ng involuntary manslaughter? Yes, kasi that's not a crime that involves moral turpitude. Diba? Hindi naman siya, yes, hindi po siya crime that involves moral turpitude. Next, 21-year-old na nagkaroon ng tuberculosis, bibigyan ba siya ng COR? Yes, kasi nagkaroon na nga siya, di ba? Na-cure na siya, guys. Sabi niya dyan, who had. Okay, so tapos na. Yes. And then again, number 3, yung 60-year-old, di ba? Tingnan mo nga, meron na siyang Hodgkin's tuloy. Meron na siyang Hodgkin's lymphoma, 60-year-old, pumasa pa rin sa board exam, di ba? Ano pa kaya ikaw na 20s? Nasa 20s, oh, syempre papasa ka din sa board exam. Okay, so bibigyan ba siya ng COR? Yes, bibigyan siya ng COR because Hodgkin's lymphoma, it's not even a communicable disease. Okay, and then lastly, examinee B, graduate na, nagpa-practice as an exchange professor. Bibigyan ba siya ng COR? Hindi. Hindi po siya bibigyan ng ZOR. Okay? Ayan. So, ang tamang sagot, may issue a COR to 3 of these. Nako, ang haba talaga nitong mga ano na to. Parang sa next batch, hindi na nga ako magbibigyan ng ganito. Charat! Joke lang. Okay. The BOMT is under the. All right. So remember that in your RA 5527, there are 2 bodies, kumbaga. Diba? There are 2 bodies which were defined in your RA 5527. So the first one, we have your board. Tama? The board of examiners of medical technology. Tama ba ako? Board of Medical Technology. And then the other one is your council. Okay, ano si council? Council of Medical Technology Education. Okay, so these were the two, ano bang masasabi natin dito? Two bodies, di ba? Two bodies which were defined by your 5527. And of course, magkaiba sila ng role, okay, when it comes to medical technology. Okay, yes, as stipulated by your RA 5527. All right. So, sige, tignan natin ha. Pag sinabi mong Board of Examiner of Medical Technology, okay, so this is under your PRC, your Professional Regulation Commission. Under po sila ng PRC. So, that means, okay, that means they are the ones which are responsible in crafting and in implementing regulations or guidelines which are supposed to be followed by medtechs. So pag sinabi mong board, ang concern nila ay yung mga medtech graduates na at saka yung mga medtech professionals. Nakuha? Yung mga graduates na po, yung mga professionals na. Yun ang concern ng board. Okay? Pag sinabi naman natin Council of Medical Technology, okay, pag sinabi natin Council of Medical Technology, so this one naman is under your CHED, your Commission on Higher Education. Kasi ano ba ang whole name ng council? 'Di ba? Council of Medical Technology Education. So ibig sabihin lahat ng nag-undergo ng bachelor's degree, okay, ng medical technology or any other related course, like for example, public health. Ayan. So sila po ang gumagawa ng guidelines or ng rules natin which are to be followed in educating, 'di ba? Tama, in educating students regarding medtech. Okay? Like for example, sila yung nagbibigay ng curriculum. Yes, yung bagong curriculum ng BS-MLS, sila po ang nagbigay niyan. CHED ang nagbigay. So pag ang pinag-uusapan natin ay the education itself, okay, council yan. Yes. Tama? So sila din ang nagsasabi kung ano dapat ang ratio ng student to instructor ratio, sino dapat ang magturo ng BSMLS subject, so on and so forth. Council ang gumagawa ng guidelines or ng rules and regulations pertaining to that. Okay, or to those areas rather. Ayan. So pag board, ano ulit ang pag board graduate na, okay, graduate na at saka mga professionals. Nakuha? Yes. Pag council, education nga, di ba? Council of Medical Technology Education, mga undergrad po yan, mga students. Okay, yes. So, Board of Medical Technology is under the PRC. Council is under your CHED. Okay? Ayan. So, next item. Yes, next item mga sis. Anong next item natin? Okay. Possible decisions which may be promulgated by the board in an administrative investigation includes: number 1, revocation of license. Number 2, reprimand. Number 3, suspension of license. Number 4, perpetual disqualification. Okay, so ano yung hinahanap doon sa tanong? Kasi if I'm not mistaken, may maraming mga nalilito dito sa 1, 2, and 3 are correct, 2 and 4 are correct, so on and so forth. So una, okay, syempre, dapat alam natin ano ba ang hinahanap doon sa tanong. Ang hinahanap sa tanong ay possible decisions. Okay, so ano yung correct? Yung mga possible decisions na pwedeng ibigay ng board in an administrative investigation. Okay, so yes. So, anong section ng ating RA 5527 ang titignan natin? So, we have section 24 of your RA 5527 which talks about administrative investigation. Okay, ayan. So, guys, yes, interns, dapat hawak natin yung mga batas na yes, na dinidiscuss natin para at least pag may sinabi ako, o di ba, makikita nyo agad. Kasi sinasabi ko naman kung saang section nyo siya makikita. Okay, para hindi na kayo mahirapang maghanap. Alright, so administrative investigation, remember that for an administrative investigation, okay, so according to RA 5527, this should be carried out by at least 2 members. Okay, at least 2 members of the board plus ano ang kasama ni at least 2 members of the board plus 1 legal officer. Okay, plus 1 legal officer. All right. Ito ha. May I just clarify kasi kung babasahin nyo nga naman yung 5527, remember pag sinabi mong Board of Medical Technology, ilan ang nandoon sa Board of Medical Technology? Tatlo, di ba? Tama ba? Tatlo. So we have 1 chairperson. Tama ba ako? 1 chairperson who is supposed to be a pathologist and then 2 members which talaga, hindi, who ba sinabi ko? 1 chairperson who is supposed to be a pathologist and then 2 members who are supposed to be registered medtechs. Okay, however, as you go through the different sections of your RA 5527, paulit-ulit niyang sinasabi doon, members of the board, members of the board, members of the board, so on and so forth. Sorry. Okay. Ganito yan ha. Pag sinabi doon sa provision na members of the board, we are not just, yes, we are not supposed to just consider yung 2 members na medtechs. Okay, yeah, kasi medyo talagang magulo yung pagka-present ng 5527. Pag sinabi niya doon, members of the board, kasali actually si chairperson. Okay, hindi po siya, the term member there, as used in some of the provisions of your 5527, it does not consider yung specific role ng mga members ng board. Nagigets nyo ba ako, class? Guys, yung mga nandito, nagigets nyo ba? So, di ba, yung Board of Medtech, 3 yan. May chairperson and then 2 members. Pag sinabi doon sa provision na members of the board, hindi lang yung 2 members ang i-consider mo. Kasama dapat si chairperson. Okay, yes. So, yeah, magulo talaga yung pagpapresent ng ibang provisions. Okay, so sabi nila dito na gets naman nila. So, yan, magigets mo din yan. Pag hindi mo na-gets, ulitin mo na lang. Okay, so ganun siya. So, sinabi niya dito at least 2 members of the board. So, ma'am, ibig sabihin ba niyan pwedeng yung 2 medtech? Oo, pwede. Kasi members naman sila ng board. Ma'am, pwede din ba na yung chairperson at saka isang RMT? Yes, pwede kasi members pa din naman sila ng board. Okay, do you get what I mean? Pag sinabi mong members, this is not in relation to their role in the board. Naku ha, basta 2 galing sa board, in short. Okay? And then, ang sabi dyan, at least 2 members. Paano kung 3 sila gusto nilang mag-participate sa administrative investigation? Pwede ba yon? Yes, pwede yon. Kasi sabi naman at least. Okay? So, pwedeng 3 sila na mag-participate doon sa administrative investigation plus 1 legal officer. Okay? So, yan. So, just to clarify. Alright. So, remember that during your administrative investigation, ano ba yung ating flow? Sige, lagyan natin ng flow. So, una, syempre, may magpo-complain. Diba? There should be a complaint. Okay? Yes. Yeah, against a particular medical technologist. Okay? And then, magkakaroon ng administrative proceedings. Tama? So when we say, magkakaroon ng tama, administrative investigation rather. So in the presence of a complaint, so magkakaroon tayo ng administrative investigation. So this would include proceedings, ganyan, papatawagin ka, i-explain, wag namang ikaw, di ba? Papatawagin yung kinomplain na medtech, and then that medtech will be allowed to explain his or her side. Pwede niyang i-cross-examine kung sino man yung nagpo-complain sa kanya or kung sino man yung mga witnesses ng complainant, so on and so forth. So the erring medical technologist, okay, will have all the rights of a respondent. Yes. So ibig sabihin, we will still be following the due process. Yes, in this particular administrative investigation. Okay? So after nung administrative investigation, ano ang next? Magde-decide na ngayon yung board. So decision of the board. Okay? So magde-decide na po si board. So decisions which are promulgated by the board may include the following. Number 1, we have reprimand. Okay? So you will just be reprimanded. There would be a written warning that will be given to you. Okay, so that is what reprimand means. Do you need to submit your COR if you were reprimanded? No. Hindi mo kailangang i-submit kasi winarningan ka lang eh. Hoy, ikaw gili ka dyan. Gawin mo ng maayos yung trabaho mo, parang ganun lang. Diba? Iwa-warn ka lang naman. Okay, that is what reprimand means. Alright, so in addition to reprimand, pwede ka ding i-suspend. Okay, suspension is another possible decision which may be promulgated by the board. So pag sinabi nating suspension, of course, kailangan mong i-submit yung COR mo. Okay, kasi suspended ka nga eh. Remember, you can only practice being a medical technologist if you have your certificate of registration. Diba? It is a requirement before you can practice. If you do not have your certificate of registration, then you cannot practice. Diba? Hindi ka pwedeng mag-practice as medtech. Okay, yes, which is basically the essence of you being suspended by the board. Nakuha? Yeah. So, kailangan mo pong isubmit yung COR mo pag suspension, yung nakuha mong decision. Okay, so in addition to your suspension, we also have revocation. Okay, so revocation, ibig sabihin, magiging null and void yung COR mo kasi mare-revoke nga siya. Okay, of course, ang pinaka-grabe, okay, ang pinaka-grabe na decision ng board is of course your revocation. Diba? Yes. And then followed by suspension and then followed by reprimand. So when we say revocation of your COR, do you have to submit your COR? Yes, you have to submit your COR. Okay, kasi na-revoke na nga yung lisensya mo, di ba? Okay, yes, tinanggalan ka na ng lisensya, bes. So, dapat isubmit mo yung lisensya. In this case, it's your certificate of registration. Okay, so sino, guys? Sino po ang dapat na mag-submit ng COR? So we have those, diba? Those erring medical technologists whose COR have been suspended or revoked. Okay, so pag suspension at revocation, kailangan mong isubmit ang COR mo. When do you submit your COR? Oh guys, mga nandito, kailan mo dapat isubmit ang COR mo? Within 30 days. Okay? After the promulgation of the decision of the board. After 30 days. Okay? O, ito pa ha, dapat alam natin ang term na promulgation. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng promulgation? Promulgate means to make something known. Okay? Ibig sabihin, dapat alam ni respondent na ganun ang desisyon. 'Di ba? So hangga't hindi nalalaman ni respondent na yun ang decision, then the decision has not been promulgated yet. So kunwari, nag-decide na ang board. Ganyan. Okay, ito si wala akong maisip, Mr. Chuvanes. Okay, si Mr. Chuvanes, isuspend natin siya. Hindi pwedeng hanggang ganun lang. Dapat i-inform din si Chuvanes. Mr. Chuvanes, suspended ka, di ba? Dapat i-inform din siya. So usually, of course, and in consideration to the fact that this is a formal investigation, so usually decisions are promulgated to the respondents via mail, via letters. Okay, magsisend sila ng letter sa'yo, and then yun, that's the time na the decision has already been promulgated. And then, after which, you have 30 days to submit your certificate of registration. Okay, so say for example, yes, ang dami mong rason. Oh, kaya yung mga maraming rason dyan, besh, ako itigil nyo na yan. Char, joke lang. Okay, so kunwari, okay, ang dami nating rason, hindi natin siya na-submit within 30 days. Take note, inexcusable. Okay, inexcusable failure to submit your COR, what will happen to you? Anong mangyayari sa'yo pag hindi mo na-submit yung iyong COR? This will, yes, this will cause you to be perpetually disqualified. Perpetual disqualification. O ano ang ibig sabihin ng perpetual? Di ba parang perpetual help? Di ba may ganun na ano, sane? May ganun ba na sane? Okay, di ba? Perpetual. Anong ibig sabihin ng perpetual? Forever. You will now be disqualified. Okay? Forever from practicing medical technology. Ma'am, pag ano ba, perpetual disqualification, is there a way by which we can reverse? Yes, of course. There would always be a way. Kahit nga pag na-revoke na ang COR mo, pwede mo pa rin naman yan i-apply ulit. Okay, yes. And of course, it will be the board who will decide kung ibabalik ba nila yung COR mo or hindi. Okay, pero yes, ang default is that yes, if you are suspended, if you are revoked, then you have to submit your COR within 30 days. If you do not do that, then you are perpetually disqualified. Okay, inexcusable failure to submit. So, perpetually disqualified ka na. Okay, ayan. So, ang daming explanation. Ang simple lang naman ng tanong natin. Possible decisions. Revocation of license. Possible ba yan na decision ng board? Yes! Okay. Reprimand. Possible ba yan na decision ng board? Yes! Suspension of license. Possible ba yan na decision ng board sa administrative investigation? Yes. Ito, medyo nakakalito yung number 4. Perpetual disqualification. Possible ba yan na decision ng board sa administrative investigation? Hindi. Hindi. Kasi tatlo lang guys ang possible na decisions. Reprimand, suspension, revocation. Ma'am, sinabi mo perpetual disqualification pag hindi ka nga nakapag-comply ng 30 days. So hindi siya. Basically, it does not come from the administrative investigation per se. Diba? It is an effect of your non-compliance to the submission of your COR. Hindi naman board ang nag-decide niyan eh. Ganun talaga. Diba? Ganun talaga ang gagawin sa'yo. Okay, nakuha. So, tatlo lang ang pwede na decision. Revocation, reprimand, suspension. And of course, we have to know how many votes are needed. Reprimand and suspension, parehas ito. Ilang boto ang kailangan? Reprimand and suspension, majority. Okay, majority ng votes. Sino yung mga maingin dyan sa labas siya? Okay, so we have majority. All right, so wait, ibahin natin yung color para masaya. Pag-reprimand at saka suspension, majority po yan. Yes, ulit-ulit ah. Okay, majority. So pag sinabi natin majority, 2/3. Tama? Pag sinabi natin majority, 2/3 po yan. And then another, siguro ito yung mga alam natin, ano, majority, minority vote. Tama? What else? Walang minority ah. Yes, in a democratic country, minority never wins. Okay, and then revocation, we have unanimous. Pag sinabi natin unanimous, all of them agree, di ba? So 3/3. Okay, revocation, unanimous yan, 3/3. Reprimand, suspension, majority, 2/3. Okay? Yes, isang oras na. Nakailang numbers na ako. So sorry. Okay, next. All right. A medical technologist is applying as a member of the board of medical technology. She happens to be the wife of the owner of a university offering a BSMLS program but has already retired from being a faculty for 10 years. Prior to her work in the academe, she served as a medical technologist in a government hospital. Ang haba naman ng sentence na to. For 15 years. Is the applicant eligible to be a member of the Board of Medical Technology? Okay, so there are two sections that are that we have to consider in this particular item. So that those are sections 7 and 8. Okay, pag sinabi mong section 7, this talks about the board of examiners for medical technology. Tama? And then, section 8, qualification of your examiners. Okay? So please do take note that both section 7 and 8, both of them were amended by Presidential Decree number 498. Tama? Parehas po silang na-amend. Okay, so first, let us look at section 7, Board of Examiners for Medical Technology. So what is the composition? Siyempre, dapat alam natin ang composition nila. So just like what I have mentioned, we have your chairman or chairperson. So sino dapat ang chairperson? We have a pathologist. Okay, chairperson should be a pathologist. So one chairperson, and then in addition to your chairperson, we have 2 members. Okay, 2 members. Ano yung mga members na to? Dapat ay they should be duly registered medical technologists. Okay? So the different members of your board, all of them are appointed by the President of the Philippines. So ano ang tenure of office ng ating board of examiners? 3 years. Eh ma'am, bakit hindi sila napapalitan? Kasi nakalimutan mong basahin yung next na provision na nandyan sa batas. So according to section 7, ano ang nakalagay dyan? 3 years after appointment or, sabi po dyan, until successors shall have been appointed and duly qualified. So ibig sabihin, kung ang presidente natin ay hindi nag-a-appoint ng bago, hindi sila mapapalitan. Tama? Kaya tignan nyo, di ba? Okay, so parang si Ma'am Marian. Marian ano? Marian Tantingko? O, parang si Ma'am Marian Tantingko. Ang tagal-tagal na po ni Ma'am Marian dyan. Parang nung nag-take ako ng boards, siya na yung nandyan. Hanggang ngayon, siya pa din ang nandyan. Kasi nga, hindi nag-a-appoint si President. Okay, so hindi na-follow yung 3 years na sinasabing tenure ng ating mga board of examiners. Okay, naku ha, ayan. Alright, so another, we have section 8. Ano ang sabi ni section 8? Qualification of your examiners. So dapat Filipino citizen, di ba? Of good moral character dapat. Okay, yes, tinamad nang mag-type. O sige, type natin. Sige, hindi nasa batas ko guys. So kung may batas ka dyan, makikita mo naman doon. Filipino citizen of good moral character dapat, duly registered medtech of the Philippines or dapat pathologist. Hindi kasi na-specify eh. Okay, yes, dapat pathologist or medtech has been in practice of laboratory medicine or medical technology for at least 10 years, not a member of the faculty of any medtech school for at least 2 years, or having any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in such institution. Okay, so alam nyo na ang sagot kasi nabanggit ko na yung pecuniary. Alright, so una, ang i-consider natin dito, i-highlight lang natin ha. Ayan, happens to be the wife. Sabi niya dyan, happens to be the wife of the owner of the university offering a BSMLS program. Pero nag-retire na siya sa faculty, so wala namang kaso doon. Pero ang kaso nga is, she is the wife of the owner. Okay? So meaning, meron po siyang pecuniary interest. So ibig sabihin, ano bang ibig sabihin ng pecuniary? Nung nagre-review ba tayo, tinignan natin kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng pecuniary? Okay. Baka hindi, di ba? Okay, so pag sinabi mong pecuniary, ibig sabihin yan ay monetary interest. Okay? The wife, di ba? The medical technologist has a monetary interest in the institution. Okay? So sabi po doon sa batas natin, direct or indirect. So in this case, is there a direct? May direct ba na pecuniary interest? Yes. Because remember, wife siya. Diba, wife siya eh. And here in the Philippines, we are governed by conjugal properties. Tama, di ba Mark? Okay, yes. So kung kunwari mag-asawa, di ba? Kunwari kami ng asawa ko, kung ano yung sa kanya, sa akin din. Kung ano yung sa akin, sa kanya. Yes, pag sa totoong buhay, sa akin lang. Pero pag sa batas, kung ano yung sa akin, sa kanya din. That's conjugal property. Diba? So merong interest si wife doon sa university. Okay? So actually, even if like for example, ako, okay, ako ha, ang may-ari ay kapatid ko. Okay? Or nanay ko or tatay ko, indirect yun na interest. Diba? So there is still indirect interest, pecuniary or monetary interest in the institution. So hindi pa rin ako pwede na maging board. Okay? Buti na lang, guys. Wala kaming pagmamay-ari. Okay? So pwede pa ako. Nako pag ako naging board of examiner. Nako, charot. Manda sila, puro 1, 2, 3, 4 yung lalabas. Okay, so ang sagot dito ay no, because she has a pecuniary interest in the university. Okay, yes. Bakit naman no? Because she is past the required number of years for retirement. Tingnan mo naman yung ating mga board of examiners, di ba? Medyo na sila, mga oldies, ganun. Pati nga yung bagong in-appoint, medyo may pagka-oldies siya, di ba? Okay, next. Sana matapos na. Wait, ilang items pa ba? Kasi more than 1 hour na akong nagsasalita, guys. Okay, next. Who among the following is in violation of the provisions of RA 5527 defining the practice of medical technologists in the Philippines? Naku, mahaba din ang kwan nito Besh. Mahaba-haba din to. Alright. A medical technician who performed a test with the supervision of a pathologist. In violation ba siya? Hindi. Okay? Remember ano ang hinahanap natin sa tanong? Is in violation. So ano yung correct? Yung nagva-violate. Tama? Tama ba? Yes. So yung nagva-violate ang hinahanap natin. A medical technician who performed a test with the supervision of the pathologist. In violation ba siya? No. Okay? Because if you are going to look at section 2 of your RA 5527, section 2 is definition of terms. So kung titignan mo yung letter D doon, medical technician or medical laboratory technician, A medical laboratory technician, okay, may be supervised, di ba? Or can assist rather a medical technologist and or pathologist. Okay, furthermore, if you will be reading the IRRs of your clinical laboratory law, sino ang pwedeng mag-supervise sa medical technician? It's either the medtech or the pathologist. Okay, so in violation ba siya? Hindi. Tama? Hindi po siya in violation. Next, number 2, a nurse who collected a blood sample in the emergency room. So remember ha, that in your RA 5527, yes, in your RA 5527, meron pong nakalagay doon din, if I'm not mistaken, sa definition of terms. So kung titignan mo doon, merong last paragraph na nakalagay, provided that any person who has passed the corresponding board examination for the practice of a profession already regulated by existing law, ang haba, shall not be subject to the provisions of the last 4 preceding paragraphs if the performance of such acts or services is merely incidental to his profession. Okay? Ano yung mga paragraphs na sinasabi niya dyan? So, kasama doon sa paragraphs ang collection and preservation of specimens. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, si nurse ba ay nag-violate ng RA 5527 kasi nag-collect siya ng blood? Hindi. Remember, specimen collection is not an exclusive job of medtechs. Hindi lang po tayo yan, okay? Kaya wag niyong angkinin ang hindi sa inyo. Naku ha? Kasi pwede din yan i-perform ng ibang professionals. Provided na yung pina-perform nila na task or na role ay defined in their own profession. Kasi may kanya-kanya naman tayong batas eh. For sure, meron ding RA for nurses, RA for PTs, for RTs, so on and so forth, RA for physicians. May kanya-kanya tayong batas. Okay? Yes. So, hindi ang sample collection, it is not exclusive to medical technologists. So, it may be performed by other professionals also. Okay? So, in violation ba si nurse? Hindi. Hindi po siya in violation. And then number 3, a general physician who tested the blood sugar of his patient in his office. In violation ba si physician? Hindi din. Because remember, di ba? Exception nga si physician in the practice. Right? Yes, that means hindi niya kailangan ng COR para mag-practice. So kung kunwaring siya mismo ang nag-perform nung test, that's because it's allowed in their profession. Allowed yan sa profession nila. Actually, maraming TOCT procedures ang pwedeng i-perform ni physician. Diba? Okay, ng mga doctors natin. So, in violation ba si general physician? Hindi. Diba? Next, a medical technologist who displayed his COR in his section. Grabe naman, diba? Bakit naman sa section mo? Remember, by virtue of section 21 of your RA 5527, okay, COR should always be displayed in his or her place of work. And in addition to that, we are required to place it in a part of the laboratory na nakikita ng ating mga patients, ng mga bumibisita sa laboratory. Okay, tama? 'Di ba, Ma'am Mars? Tama ako? Yes. So, hindi mo pwedeng ilagay yan sa office. Hindi mo pwedeng ilagay yan sa sarili mong section kasi hindi yan makikita ng mga pasyente mo. How will your patients know that you are a professional, that you are really a registered medical technologist? Diba? Kailangan ibalandra mo yung mukha mo dyan, yung COR mo. Kaya kung titignan mo dun sa laboratory, you would be able to see our CORs. Okay? You would be able to see our CORs doon mismo sa may receipt area. Because we are required to do that. Chine-check po yan ng DOH na naka-display ng maayos ang ating mga COR. Okay? So who is in violation of RA 5527? Grabe, yung medtech pa, di ba? Okay, sa dinami-dami naman po nang pwedeng mag-violate, bakit si medtech pa? Alright, so siya ang nag-violate. So alin ang correct na answer? Si 4 lang. Only 4 is correct, letter C. Alright, so take note ha. Sino ang pwedeng bigyan ng COR? Sino ang pwedeng bigyan ng COR? Una, pumasa ka muna, di ba? Pumasa ka muna sa board exam bago ka bigyan ng COR. Pangalawa, dapat ang age mo ay okay, so you should be 21 years of age. Okay, so ibig sabihin, pag hindi ka 21 years old, hindi ka po bibigyan ng COR. Nakuha? Alright, so as in addition to that, how many signatures are found in your COR? Oh, ilan? 4. Okay, kahit tignan nyo yung COR. Oh, titignan nila. Okay, we have 4 alam nyo, tinatanong to. Guys, tinatanong ko sa board exam, how many signatures are found in the COR? 4. 4 signatures, okay? Sino yung mga nagsasign na yan, ha? Okay. Ito, 3, okay, all members. Ito na naman tayo sa all members kasi all members of the board. Ilan ang members ng board? Ilan? 3, 'di ba? Isang pathologist, 2 medtech. Okay? Yes. And then, in addition to that, ay, alam, dami kong lahaway, buti na lang, hindi ninyo nakikita. Okay. In addition to that, meron tayong si PRC Commissioner. Diba? O, titignan nila yan. Okay. So, ilan yon? Di 3 plus 1, 4 signatures. Nakuha? Ayan. Tinatanong yan, ilang signatures meron ang COR? And then, kung hindi man yan ang itatanong, kaninong signature ang makikita sa COR? So don't forget, all members of the board plus your PRC commissioner. Okay? Ayan, yes. Ang tagal naman po ng ratio mo, madam. I know, right? Ayan, next. This amendment of RA 5527 contains the provision for the inclusion of blood banking procedures and clinical laboratory quality control as part of the practice of medical technology in the Philippines. So if you are going to look at your RA 5527, yes, ang nakalagay doon na definition is, ang dinefine lang na term ay medical technology. Okay, and then very short lang ang definition niya ng medical technology. It is merely defined as an auxiliary branch of laboratory medicine which deals with the examination by various chemical, microscopic, bacteriologic, and other laboratory procedures and techniques. That's it. Okay, yun lang yung mga included sa medtech profession. However, take note that section 2 of your, di ba? Section 2, ano ulit si section 2? Definition of terms. So remember that section 2, it was amended, di ba? In-amend po yan. Ano ang nag-amend dyan? We have Presidential Decree number 498. So from the term medical technology, in your Presidential Decree number 498, naging practice po siya. Practice of medical technology. Okay, yes. So naging practice po siya of medical technology in which humaba, yes, humaba ang kanyang definition. So nagkaroon siya ng additional scope when it comes to the different procedures that are performed by medical technologists. Okay, ayan. So nagkaroon tayo ng examination of tissues, secretions, and excretions, so on and so forth. Okay, ano yung mga nadagdag? Yung mga yan, histopathologic and cytotechnology, clinical research, standardization of reagents, quality control, collection and preservation of your specimens. So lahat po yan ay naidagdag doon sa Presidential Decree number 498. So in short, ano po ang ating sagot dito? We have letter C, PD 498. Okay? Yay! Malapit na po. Slide number 10 na ako. Okay. The Philippine Medical Technology Act was enacted on, guys, kahit tulog tayo, dapat alam natin to. Okay. June 21, 1969. Okay. June 21, 1969. Kahit tulog ka, dapat alam mo yan. Kasi, di ba, ang 5527, it is the reason why we are here. Yes, of course. Okay, it's the reason why we are here. Because of that particular law. Okay, no matter how obsolete it is already. So, dapat mahalin natin ang 5527. Okay, baka naman kulang tayo ng lobbying, di ba? Pamet? Sarap. Okay. Alright, so next, identify whether the applicant is qualified to become a board examiner considering the following information. Yeah, actually parang naulit to, no? Yes, may ganitong tanong na ako kanina. Date of application, January 2020. Applicant is a Filipino citizen with good moral character in a DOH authorized position with 5 years of work experience in a private clinical laboratory and not a faculty member for the past 3 years. Ano ang problema niya? Charot. Ano ang problema ni Filipino citizen dito? Physician po siya. Ano ba ang hinahanap natin? Pathologist. Diba? So, ma'am, hindi ba pwede yung physician? Naku, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay board of examiner. Hindi po supervision of the clinical laboratory ang pinag-uusapan natin dito. Diba? Ang pinag-uusapan natin ay pagiging isang board of examiner. Okay, so hindi pwede si DOH authorized physician. Hindi siya pwede kasi hindi naman siya pathologist. Remember, dapat ang chairperson ay pathologist. Okay? And then ano pang problema doon sa ating yeah, actually yun naman ang pinaka problema niya. Okay, yes. And then yung sa work experience din. Ang work experience niya ay 5 years lang. 'Di ba? Ayan. Although if you're going to look at your 5527, ang nakalagay kasi doon is has been in practice of laboratory medicine. So ibig sabihin si pathologist 'yon. Or medical technology, si RMT 'yon, 'di ba? For at least 10 years. So ang work experience niya ay 5 years lang. Okay? Yes. So hindi siya pwede by virtue of number 1, hindi siya pathologist, and then another, kulang yung work experience niya. Okay, dapat 10 years ang work experience sa laboratory medicine ni pathologist. Okay, so yon. Pero ma'am, di ba, merong nakalagay doon na provision na pwede siyang i-reduce into 5 years. Yes, that's correct. But that is prior to the enactment of your 5527. Kailan ba siya nag-apply? January 2020. So, ang tagal-tagal na, besh. 1969. Di ba? 2020 minus 1969. So, ang tagal na po. Hindi na applicable yung can be reduced to 5 years. Hindi na siya applicable. Okay. Ayan. Yay. Tapos na tayo sa 5527. You know, yes, I have. Of course, I have. I have po a video, a lot of video about 5527. I don't know if you want it. Do you want it? Matagal yun, be. Ewan ko sa inyo, baka magsisi kayo. Baka magsisi kayo. Pero anyway, if lang naman you want, sige na nga, bigay ko na. Huwag niyo akong tatawanan doon na kasi pang mga second year yun. So, siyempre, pa-cute yan. Hindi. And then, by the way, meron kasi doon na discussion about appeal. Saan na ba yun? Meron akong i-discuss dapat about appeal eh. Okay, kasi, yes, dinagdagan ko pa. Ito. Yan. Alright, so according to 5527, okay, on the appeal, yung pag-appeal natin, in the case of your administrative investigation, according to 5527, section 25, you can appeal within 30 days. Kanino? sa Civil Service Commission, okay? Or yung final appeal mo is sa Office of the President. Okay? If you are going to look at the history of our laws, nauna si 5527 kaysa sa creation ng PRC. Kaya noon, ang tawag sa PRC ay Civil Service Commission. Okay? But now, meron na kasi tayong PRC. So, kanino ka dapat mag-appeal now sa PRC? Nakuha, hindi na sa Civil Service Commission ha, huwag kayong malito. And then nakalagay din sa Section 25, ang final na appeal ay sa Office of the President. However, of course, hindi na nga siya applicable ngayon. So kanino ka pwedeng mag-appeal? So una, you can appeal to the PRC. Okay? So kunwari hindi mo pa rin nagustuhan ang desisyon ni PRC ng commission, kanino ka pwedeng pumunta sa Court of Appeals? Okay? Ngayon, ayaw mo pa din ng desisyon ng Court of Appeals. It's so unfair. Ganon. Parang ganon. So, pwede kang pumunta kanino? Kay Supreme Court. Okay? Hindi na po kay Office of the President. Naku ha? Hindi na po applicable si Section 25. Because naglabas na po sila ng PRC resolution regarding administrative investigations last 2006. Okay, yes. I think hindi ko to naisama dun sa discussion ko. But anyway, ang sundin nyo ay yung sinasabi ko ngayon. Okay, kasi ang nasabi ko doon, ang didiscuss ko doon ay yung kung ano yung nasa Section 25 ng RA 5527. Alright, so that's it. 10 questions for 1.5 hour. Grabe naman. Okay, sing. Ganun talaga eh. Charot. Okay, so I'll see you when I see you. So ganito siya ha. Ganito ang gagawin natin. Okay? Bale, parang isang set, isang video, isang batas. Wow, dandami nun. Tignan natin syempre kung kunwaring pwedeng dalawang batas sa isang video. Okay, so I'll see you guys. Magdi-dismiss pa ako kasi quarter na. Oy, nagwalis na kayo. Okay, bye. I'll see you later.